Hi, it's Sue Greenwald here with Awakened Stories. I'm talking today with Deanna Carr with the Mystical Moonlight. Hey, Deanna, how are you?
I'm good. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good. Today we're doing a Q&A, some follow-up on previous videos and conversations that we've had. So the first topic is Einstein. We had done a video that was, to me, incredibly interesting, and we went really fast. So there's a lot to his life we didn't unpack in that, but you
Yes.
got the gist, right? He wasn't who he said he was. He was
hmm
definitely a spy. He was definitely involved in trafficking. And we want to dig into that just maybe a little bit deeper, okay? So, how did Einstein get started or found for this spy slash position that he found himself in, where he was a scientific genius, uh, applauded throughout the land? How did he get started?
He had a presence. So everybody says how much they liked him. Um, he did have a presence about himself that was just likable. He could get people to like him no matter what, and that does hold over even after he starts working with people. Um, he did have a knack for understanding science. He had base understanding. Not saying he was the genius he was, but he did have this understanding that he could talk to people
Yeah.
and make them kind of believe anything.
Yeah.
And having this presence was really valuable because you could use that in any situation.
Right.
He just happened to meet the right person that led him into this. So, um, he did have that rocky start after school. What do I do next? And they just kind of clicked, and it just happened to work out, and he was brought into the next stage. Um, that being said, the next stage was kind of like that entry level of, okay, we need you to do these base things. We need you to do this. We're going to start setting you up. We're going to put you into school here. And then the list kind of goes on. So that's the next level is just do this base stuff. We'll pay for it. We'll get you going and you don't have to worry about it. All you have to do is, these little things that we ask. So it wasn't really concerning stuff. So it just brought him in. He liked that kind of lifestyle. He liked having, no stress, but, learning and doing what he wanted at the same time. Later on, that's when they started giving him smaller missions. So that's like the next stage, stage three, is giving small missions to see what they would do, how they're going to do it. How could we kind of entice them to do things that might be out of their range a little bit, but learning their control? So it just keeps going on from there. And then later on, it gets into the part where he ends up coming over to America. Now, he knew about this beforehand because they had, I guess you want to call it warning. They said, like, you're going to go here. This is why. And this is what you're going to do for us. And his mission was to come here. He was going to send this information out, and then he was going to try to sneak in, and his way in was the information. Once they get the information, this is what you're going to do and say to get to this next level over there. So it was all pre-planned. It was all purposeful. And he wasn't necessarily the mastermind behind it, but they had, let's say, an algorithm how to get him in there. He was already a likable person, so it's easy to make people trust and believe him.
Right.
And so it just kind of skyrocketed from there.
Right. So if he has the basic scientific knowledge, if
hmm
like he can speak well, people like him and he's very personable, he has charisma.
hmm
Well, that's like, I don't know, 80% of the battle right there. And then
Oh,
he's
yeah.
got his stellar reputation preceding him wherever he went about his IQ and his intelligence and all this stuff he was doing,
hmm
which wasn't even his own work.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So, what group or what country, I'm not sure how to word that. What group recruited him and trained him? Like who did he work for?
That's a good one. Okay, so he worked for the Germans, but I'm not getting an actual name. What I'm getting is he worked for the Germans and his mission was to take over the US. And this wasn't given just to him. It was a lot of Germans at the time. They would come in and then they would do these, entryways into act like the good guy, get in, get the information. And that's kind of how they weaseled in and out information.
Right.
That was important to pretty much everything. I mean, a lot of information was important that he learned. And then he was going to give it back to them. Um, the only thing they're giving me is an O,
Know what?
an O, an
Oh,
O. That's all I'm getting from them for organization wise.
okay. Well,
So I
that's
don't have any information specific what specific group he was in. That's the
that's
information
fine.
I got.
So you're feeling that he was affiliated with Germany and he was sent over to America to basically he acted like a double agent a little bit, but his goal, his overall goal was to get information about the US and
Mhm.
what America was doing scientifically and politically and take it back to Germany.
Yes.
Okay. So which I think he probably did pretty successfully is my guess, because literally he was welcomed everywhere, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they wanted to show off that they had this deep understanding, they had all this technology, and it just kept going from there. And then, like I said, he's already likable, and they had this algorithm to make him trustworthy, to make him an icon,
Yeah.
essentially. And he liked it because he had everything taken care of. I mean, most people even nowadays just want to have what they want. And he
Wow.
saw this being his way in.
Yeah,
Now, it wasn't the best because, there's a lot at risk, but, he thought it was worth it.
right. Okay. So he was a spy. All right. So his goal was to suck out American secrets and
Yeah.
figure out their weaknesses and maybe set up contacts in the US, maybe government or scientific
Mhm.
communities. I'm going to assume he did that because of Operation Paperclip, which was a few years later, that
Mhm.
where the German scientists like found positions of power and authority in
Yeah.
our yeah, government or military or whatever. So
Yeah.
that mission was successful.
Yeah. Because he placed them in, and the people that he placed in and got over here to work with them are ones that were making difference over there, but not necessarily in a good way. They were
Yeah.
making, stuff that we don't really want.
Yeah. Okay. So did he know about non-humans? Like let's say reptilians at this point. Did he know about
Yes, yes.
was he
He has seen them. No, he is not a reptilian,
okay,
but he has seen them and he's worked with them.
okay. All right. So he no only worked with them. All right.
Mhm.
And and again, it's unfair to say every single reptilian is bad, but let's say the majority of them have been trying to control the humanity and the earth. So not
Yeah.
cool, dude, not cool. All right.
Mhm.
Um, was he involved in setting up more human trafficking routes and trades and plan?
He was because he was I don't want to say that. He was somebody that people wouldn't look at for doing that kind of thing. He had access to a lot. He had access to a lot of people, a lot of high ups. So yes, he was definitely helping with the trafficking, just in his own way.
Okay. So basically, he helped to expand that network. He probably came up with different ways to
Mhm.
smuggle the kids around the world or whatever. Okay. Yeah. Awful. Okay. And so we had talked about his baby daughter, his infant daughter
Mhm.
was taken away by his first wife and never came back.
Hmm.
which most people would have thought a little weird, okay? But
Yeah.
it's very glossed over. Was that baby trafficked?
Yes.
Okay. All right. And did his wife at the time know about all this?
It looks like she had inklings. Like
Yeah.
she had some information, like some things just weren't adding up for her.
Yeah.
But I don't think she really knew. Towards the end, it looks like she was getting closer to the truth, and that's when they kind of got rid of her.
Okay. Is Einstein actually dead, or has he faked his death?
I'm getting he's faked his death.
Is he still here on Earth?
No.
Off planet?
It looks like off planet in a ship.
Okay, interesting.
Mhm.
So we're going to say he's not a good guy.
No, of course not.
Wow. Okay. So I know it's still like it's just like when I've told people about the Dalai Lama or the Pope, they're like, "Oh no, they're so good." It's their reputation that's good. So they've
Yeah.
really done a fabulous job with his reputation. Okay.
Oh, dude, I mean, think about it. People pay people to be PRs.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if somebody knows how to set up somebody, tell them what to say, tell them what to wear, tell them how to act in public, you could be anything.
Right.
So it's very easy to manipulate, especially for that time frame.
Yeah.
I mean,
Okay.
think about, I mean, now it's a little bit harder because you have all this technology. People are, getting information right away. People are able to videotape right away.
Right.
So it's harder now to get away with some of the stuff versus then.
Right.
And, he was definitely able to get away with it.
Okay. I had sent you about a week ago, we had done the Einstein video. Then
Hmm.
somebody had given us on our video link a picture of him as a cross-dresser.
Hmm.
And in the description, it talked about his, he wasn't who he said, that he had married a woman and her two daughters.
Hmm.
And that is a little bit creepy and nasty, but is that a real valid picture of him?
Yes.
I'm going to try to find it if I can and put it on the end of this video just for the
Yeah.
viewer. But yeah, not cool, dude.
Yeah. Well,
Right.
like I said, I mean, he went to reptilian parties. So,
Yeah. So he did all sorts of things that we probably don't want to know more about. Right?
yeah,
So horrible. Okay. But we're going to switch topics. Anything else we need to talk about Einstein?
I think we covered most of it at least.
Yeah.
If people have questions, always put them in the
Yeah.
comments.
It's an interesting topic because we've been so tricked by this reputation. And
Oh,
he's
yeah.
not the only one. There's
Hmm.
so many out there that have got the reputations like actresses and blah, blah, blah. And they're really very evil people, but we view them as like these great influencers.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Switch of topic to the Hindenburg, back to the Hindenburg. Okay. So we all know that it blew up. So did it blow up because of a bomb placed on board? Or was there a timer on the bomb? Like, how did it happen to blow up at that exact time?
That's a good question. We did not cover that. There was a bomb on it.
Okay.
It was a small one.
Yeah.
It was more controlled because it was flammable. They
Yeah.
didn't need a huge thing. They just needed a little
Right.
spark,
Right.
right? So they did put a small timed bomb on it, something that somebody wouldn't really have access to seeing.
Okay. So the guy that ran the bomb or put the bomb in there, was he part of the crew? And was he on a suicide mission or was he able to get off?
A suicide mission. He did not get off.
Yikes. Okay. And you had implied that the people that were on the ship coming from Germany that in that incident, they were the targets. Okay,
Yeah.
not the other people going back over to Europe. Was
Mhm.
there a specific person or a couple people or a small group that were the main targets?
It looks like about 5 people that were main targets.
Okay. So those were really the targets in the whole blast.
Yes. It's easier to disguise
Yeah.
an assassination as an accident
Yeah.
versus an assassination
Yeah.
because it's not as noticeable. I mean, most people think like, hey, people do assassination still.
Yeah.
They do, but most of the time it looks like an
An
accident
accident.
versus somebody actually doing it.
Because especially when you have a crowd gathered there and the ship blows up, then you can come up with lots of reasons why it blew up. But
Mhm,
yeah, people are freaking out, but it's because of the bomb explosion or the explosion,
mhm,
not that a single group was targeted. They don't know.
exactly. Yeah.
And again, they didn't really like most people probably didn't think about conspiracy like the way we are now. They were more innocent. News traveled really slow. I mean, education was a lot different. We didn't have the internet, right?
Hmm.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
So these five people, were they influencers in, like, say, the travel industry, or can you tell us anything about them?
They were in the travel industry. They were going to be making it more realistic for lower class to also travel.
Ah,
So that way they would have the experience. So not all rich people are mean or think about just themselves. I know it's crazy concepts. Um, but that being said, I mean, think about the time frame. Even now we still have this idea that society is broken up. And there are people that, have money that want to help the lower. You know,
right,
it's been seen time and time again. It's not all of them, but
right.
these people wanted to make it so travel could be realistic and worthy for people that might not be able to afford it because a
Yeah,
lot of people are stuck. A lot of people
yeah,
have never traveled. A lot of people, even in Pennsylvania, haven't seen the beach.
yeah,
It's a crazy concept of like not being able to see even parts of your own country.
yeah,
Whereas other countries, that's normalized. They've seen a lot. They have
yeah,
easy ways of transportation. They have easy access to
yeah,
travel to see, their beaches.
yeah,
So it's just something that they were trying to bring to light for people and to make it easier for them. So they were targeted because one, it was going to go against what they were trying to do. So it's, now I think it's probably like $1 billion, almost $1 trillion industry. And then it's not even just that. It's okay. So you have your travel, then you have your stay. So it's a big thing to hold control over.
right. That's agreed. So, statistically, most people grow up and they live, I think it's within 15 or 20 miles of where they grew up. They don't like leave far from home.
Hmm.
And not a lot of people have traveled like you've mentioned, right?
Yeah.
Wow. And then you do have the airline industry, which is huge, and I believe subsidized by the government at this point. So,
Yeah.
yeah. Okay, so this group of five was going to change the shape of travel. One thing I wanted to say is, we talked about this explosion, but the Hindenburg had flown, oh shoot, I think it was South America the year before.
Mhm.
And dirigible travel had been used previously
Mhm.
safely, right?
Yeah.
So, like you had said, it was all safe, but the fact that they put hydrogen in there and, blah, 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 blah,
Mhm.
it does seem like sabotage to me, anyways, beside, what you just told us, right?
Mhm.
Now,
Mhm.
I had said that I had read American Airlines was going to be connecting the passengers to different, places so they could get to their destinations.
Yeah.
When I read that, it was like I had a knowing that they were involved somehow. Like they were like, and again, we're talking 100 years ago, but they were like the biggest, right? And they're still out there. Like we've gone through a lot of airline changes in the past 20 or 30 years, Pan Am and
Mhm.
airlines have gone out of business and blah blah blah. They've merged, they've bought each other out. So, all right, kind of a hard question to ask, but were there some individuals somehow associated with American Airlines that were the perpetrators of this explosion?
Yes.
Okay. So they did it on purpose. So we're not saying like everyone knew, but there was a bunch of them that planned this.
Yes.
Okay.
Easiest way to hold control.
Yeah. Yeah. And they still haven't.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Well, all right. Thank you very much. Is there anything else we I don't have to say, but I'm like, you killed 36 people and it could have been like 90 something just to get your stinking airline travel, as the prominent way to travel.
Greed is a very interesting emotion.
Yeah.
And a lot of people do crazy, bizarre, chaotic stuff because of greed.
Right.
And it makes no sense. Is a life worth your money? And to them, apparently, yes.
Yeah. Sad.
Yeah.
Sad. Okay. Well, thank you for that. All right, we had a question come in about ghosts. Now, you had done a short little video about ghosts. Okay, so
Yes.
the question was about poltergeists. So, poltergeists are generally defined as being more aggressive, being loud, maybe throwing things and physically affecting the environment and sometimes harming a person.
Yes.
So that's what we're going to call a poltergeist, as opposed to a regular ghost slash spirit. Is that a good
Yeah.
definition for now?
Yes, poltergeist is defined as that where it's more aggressive versus, maybe some weird stuff's happening.
Yeah, okay. So if our vibration is high enough, okay, so let's say we have a high vibe, can we fend off a poltergeist? So the big question is, why are you around a poltergeist in the first place? But let's just say you are. You walk into a place and you're not getting a hit on not a good vibe. Okay, let's just say, for example, you are unconscious about that for some reason, and you have a high vibration. Can you fend off a poltergeist?
It depends.
Okay.
I'll be honest. A poltergeist is not something you really want to deal with on a vibrational pattern level.
Yeah.
Um, Here's the thing. We all think our vibrational pattern is going to, magically make these things disappear. A
Right.
poltergeist, you don't know how long it's been here. You don't know exactly what you're working with. You can't see it. So you're kind of fending off something that you don't really truly know all
Right.
the details about.
Right. Right.
A poltergeist can also be disguised as a demon. So it could be a demon you're talking about, not just a poltergeist. A poltergeist is a negative energy being that is in the ghost plane but has access to our plane because it can take energy. That being said, it can take energy. So if you have a high vibrational pattern, you have to have a magnificent high vibrational pattern
Right.
because it can take energy and it can transform good energy to its own energy.
Right.
It can take, I can't replicate a battery. It can take battery energy and replicate it and transform itself into its next mission, whatever that's scratching, throwing, pushing people downstairs, the
Right.
list goes on.
Right.
So if you are near a poltergeist, first step, get away. Your best way to deal with this is actually from a distance. Being near a poltergeist, like I said, it can take your energy. So if you're doing it from a distance, you're actually more in control of your energy
Right.
versus if you're next to it.
Right.
So that's why, when I say, I like these shows because they do stupid stuff, being near a poltergeist is just stupid. Um, it, it is, unfortunately. I mean, like I said, I wish that we could just, magically have that high vibrational pattern.
Yeah.
But think about it this way. If you get drains going through the grocery store because of a simple Klingon, a poltergeist is like 20 times as powerful, maybe even more.
Yeah.
So your energy is going to get zapped instantly. So if you see one, buckle up is what I can
Yeah.
say with that. Like it's going to be interesting. And the other thing about that is you don't know the repercussions. So a lot of these ghost adventures and people that I watch doing this stuff,
Yeah.
it's interesting because they've put themselves into the situation thinking that they are better. They can, outlast it. They have higher vibrational pattern. They could do blah, blah, blah. But in the end, they don't know the outcome. You can actually lose, like, I don't want to say limbs, but you can lose function of your body. They have more power to cause negative, not even emotions, negative turmoil within our body. They can cause cancer. They can cause us to lose our eyesight. They can cause us to have organs stop and shut down. They have more access to understanding our physical body than we do.
Okay.
So don't mess with them.
Okay. Good answer. So
Yeah.
that, it's a good question. Like if we have a high vibe, like, yeah, but you don't know what you're up against. So I would say don't mess with them either.
Yeah.
Like, and usually like when you have a higher consciousness, you have a warning system built into your body. So
Yeah.
you're bopping along. Let's say you're walking by a building or you're walking by a business and you get a vibe, you get a creepy feeling. You get
Hmm.
a negative feeling like get away, get out of there, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Listen to that feeling. All
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
And
And if you really, if you're like, okay, so let's say it's your house,
yeah,
or you just moved into a house you didn't know beforehand, there's a poltergeist there.
yeah.
You're gonna need minimum 3 people of super high vibrational pattern that
Okay.
know what they're doing to try and take it out.
Okay.
Not saying it will even work, but if you're in this situation and you're like, well, I have to live here and I have no other choice, you need at least 3 people of high vibrational pattern that know what they're doing.
Okay. Interesting topic, right? All
Yeah.
right. So, for ghosts, okay, so a ghost is an entity that's kind of, we're going to call it trapped in another realm or reality dimension. All right.
Yeah.
Are these entities, they have not fulfilled their contracts, right?
Yes. They're
Right.
stuck.
So they're stuck. So let's say they're stuck for a long time and then somehow they get released. Let's say one of us guys releases them to the light and they're up there.
Mhm.
Do they have to come back and fulfill their contract or is that reviewed?
If they get released, their contracts would be null and void at that point because they were able to find a loophole.
Okay.
Because part a
Yeah.
loophole.
Yeah.
And that being said, most contracts have it in there where if they don't fulfill your mission, you are basically wandering until mission's complete, correct? Now, if somebody is able to figure out, hey, there's this being here, it's stuck, let me let me help it get to the next stage. It's found its loophole because it's no longer in that contract. It's no longer stuck in that plane that it's supposed to be in. So pretty much the contract becomes null and void, and it is up to its own
Okay.
mission on what it wants to do next. Like it doesn't even have to have another contract. It's everything's moving forward. So
Okay.
it kind of served its like jail time per se.
Okay. So let's say that we come up across a ghost and we can send it to the light. All right. Is
Hmm.
I would normally say that is what we should do. Okay.
Yeah,
But then that ghost or spirit or whatever you want to call it is then out of their contract.
yeah.
Oh, interesting. So this is already called the last cycle. So they're really not going to be recycled back anyway, unless they are through for another reason, right?
Yeah. Unless they would go in for another contract.
Interesting. Okay.
Mhm.
So, all right, is a ghost or spirit, whatever you want to call it, right? When we think of them, we think of, a transparent, maybe a mist or a cloud or an energy. Do
Mhm.
they get more solid the longer that they're in that form?
No.
Okay. So they never change
Well,
their density.
they never change their density. It's about do they understand their ability?
Okay.
Because like I said before, you have ghosts that, are just kind of wandering. Then you have ghosts that are, messing with you a little bit. Not saying it's negative, but like, I've had ghosts before, they would move picture frames. Not necessarily negative, but they are able to manipulate stuff. So
Right.
there's levels to it, and if they understand their being, which is different than us, if they can understand it, then they can start to
Yeah.
manipulate the energy around them.
Okay, cool. All right. So it would behoove us if we sense a spirit to send it to the light.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah. And that does multiple things. It frees them, but it also clears the vibration of earth and your environment,
Hmm.
right? Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting topic. Anything else we need to know about that?
Don't do it on Poltergeist.
Yeah, stay away. We already got that. All right, switch of topic. One last question is the dodo bird. Okay, which it was a bird that went extinct in, I'm going to say, the late 1600s, found on an island near Madagascar. So, but we always call stupid people dodos because we assume because they got extinct, they
Mhm.
didn't defend themselves against hunters or other predators. They didn't know what
Yeah.
predators were. Are they truly extinct from our part of the planet?
From our part, yes, but there are some left.
Okay. And are they, I mean, would you call that physically left in other parts of the planet?
Yes.
Okay. Interesting. So
Mhm.
basically, I think why they're called stupid is they would let the hunter like walk up to them. They were not afraid of the hunters, the people, because they
Yeah.
did what they were, right?
Hmm.
So interesting. Now there was another animal that I've always wondered about called the quagga. The quagga was in Africa. It's like a part zebra, kind of a part horse. It's got stripes on the front and then a plain like brown back. That's
Yeah.
also extinct. I think it went extinct in the early 1900s by overhunting. All right.
Mhm.
Are they truly extinct in our part of the earth?
Yes.
Damn. And are there some left on other parts of Earth?
Few.
Okay, that's it. Anything else we need to know about dodos or quaggas?
Not that I'm aware of now.
Okay, all right.
If you have questions, ask them. But
All right.
yeah, for the most part, no. I mean, they don't hold like they have significance, but they're not like
Yeah.
as significant as we maybe made them out to be.
Okay. Well, the quaggas, I know there were some kept in European zoos, and I think the last one died in I'm going to just say the late 1800s,
Hmm.
supposedly, in the zoo. And I felt so bad. I felt bad about this since college. I've worried about that quagga dying.
Yeah.
So,
Well, like there's no more in our zone, and the reason being because we have extinct so many different species.
yeah.
So they do have more of these extinct animals in different zones, but that's because they can maintain them. We
Right.
can't.
Okay, obviously. Okay.
Yeah,
Thank you, thank you, thank you for your time. I really appreciate it.
of course.
And appreciate the answers. It's very interesting information, no matter what the
Mhm.
topic. So, all
Yeah,
right. Thanks again, Deanna.
of course.
All right.
Bye.
Bye-bye.